All right. Well, hello, and welcome everyone to our BG5 Live. Great to have all of you here today. And today is February 23rd, 2021. This is episode number 93. And today we're going to take a look at finding spirit through materialism. So we're going to look at trait 55, and we're going to take a look at trait 55 in quality 6. Again, finding spirit through materialism. And of course, before we get started, let's say hello to our panel, see how everyone's doing. Let's start with Anna. Hey, Anna, welcome.
Hello, I'm glad to be here, and hello, everyone.
Great to have you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And let's go to Natalie. Hey, Natalie, welcome.
Yay, wow, 93 already.
I know, can you believe it?
No. Wow. So welcome everybody, and this is a nice paradoxal thing, finding spirit through materialism. So this will be a nice discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, welcome, Natalie. Great to have you here. And let's go to Linda. Hey, Linda, welcome.
Hey, everyone. Glad to be here. And it's amazing. Last time we spoke about that we were ice skating in the Netherlands. And now we were having parties in our backyard because the weather is sunshining and it's almost spring. So it's amazing. So the paradox is also in the weather.
I love it. I love it. And Moxie is here back here. It was funny. She was completely asleep all morning. The moment that I started the BG5 Live, she jumped on my desk. So she's here too. All right. So let's jump in and get started. Again, welcome to everyone who's listening live in our Zoom room. Welcome to everyone who is watching us via Facebook, and welcome to everyone who's listening to the recording as well. So let's take a look at where we are as we move through February. Again, we started the journey of mind through emotions. Again, we've been taking a look at the emotional traits that start off this February. So again, it's emotional. It's this connection to spirit, which we're going to be talking about today, and surrendering to the fates, which we took a look at last week, with family and friends, which we're moving into next week, with the purpose fulfilled through mind and initiation. So again, we took a look at the listener, hearing the secrets and the fellowship of man. We took a look at principles, a revolution based on principles. We took a look at the fates last week in taking a look at surrendering to the fates. And today we're going to focus on the spirit. The abundance is a matter of spirit. And since we are in quality 6 today, we are going to be moving next week into family and friends. So we're be moving into the 37, this tribal connection with others. So something to look forward to as we move forward into this week. So let's, and you can see that things have lightened up a little bit. We don't remember last week we had both two strengths defined here to emotional intelligence. I don't know about any of you, but I noticed myself feeling very emotional last week. And so I feel much better now, but it's interesting to kind of feel and ride those waves of emotion. I was just curious to see if any of you also felt a bit emotional last week as well.
Well, I had an emotional high.
Nice.
I felt, I could feel the waves, and I certainly had reason to feel great or horrible, but I could just feel the waves. Whereas my two kids are struggling with different things, and they were really like, oh my goodness, how, depressed, literally in the low part of the wave.
Yeah. Interesting. So you may have been in the high of the wave. You may have been in the low of the wave. I actually had a memorial service, and I was talking at the memorial service for a friend of mine who had passed away through complications with COVID, and I didn't expect to be so emotional. But the moment that the memorial service started, I just started bawling, and so it was quite emotional for me. And to it was really an honor to be able to to speak at that. But just recognizing the emotions and recognizing those waves and how powerful and how emotional I felt is just, again, an interesting thing to pay attention to. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of you are saying, Lisa was saying, yes, I was depressed, and then suddenly it was over. And yeah, Yana was saying, I could feel it, but I knew it wasn't mine. And Lisa was also saying very emotional last week as well. So it sounds like a lot of you sort of felt that that emotion, and also this connection to spirit as well, right? Also an emotional trait as well. Really, the abundance is a matter of spirit. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's take a look at this trait 55, this trait of spirit. So abundance is a function of spirit. It is how you perceive what you're feeling and the mood that you're experiencing in the moment. And at any given point, spirit is not a matter of comparison, but just the wonder that the cup or life exists at all. So when you're really tapped into spirit, it's the awe and the wonder of really life itself. And what you fear the most is emotional emptiness. This is part of an awareness function. And as part of an awareness function, there are fears attached to it as well. So when we take a look at the fear of the 55 is emotional emptiness. So what you fear the most is emotional emptiness or a lack of passion in your work or in your life. And you can be passionate or you can be melancholic. You can be artistic or you can be romantic, right? So this is also one of the traits of romance as well. It's in the individual circuitry, which can move in its wave, from being in the mood to not being in the mood, to being passionate to being very melancholy. That's one of the things that I noticed for myself, this week as we've been in trait 55, this feeling of melancholy or this feeling of sadness. And whatever you are feeling, it's important that you honor your moods. That is how you tap into your creative potential. So one of the things about this emotional wave of the individual is those times when you feel a bit of melancholy, to recognize that there's nothing wrong, that the melancholy is part of the wave, and that melancholy is the time when you're not really in the mood. It's the time to spend time by yourself. It's the time, in a sense, that can also be incredibly creative as well. It's the time to spend with your creative muse. And so tapping in many respects, tapping into spirit, tapping into what is beyond. So I would love to hear from our panel. How do you see or how do you experience this trait 55 of spirit? I think I may be the only one that actually has this trait in my design. And so in not having this trait, what is your perspective on this particular trait?
I'll go.
Yeah.
I have the 39, so I always have 55s in my life in very pivotal ways. Um, I just recall a very dear friend of mine many years ago. She's an artist, and we were sitting at my table, and I had a bouquet of roses that were wilting, and she was looking at them, and she said, the people don't appreciate the colors as the rose is fading. And she was looking at the shades, these sort of muted colors, and it was such a little profound little vignette And I always remember that because the spirit was so much in appreciation. She was appreciating the material world from a spiritual awareness in a very simple moment. And I just think about that because she's very creative. And yet, here at the melancholic moment of something fading away, she was truly observing the color palette, the life in it still.
That is so beautiful. Yeah, it's finding the spirit wherever it is, and it's just that wonder that it exists at all. Really speaks to what you just shared, Anna. Thank you so much. That was really beautiful. How about for you, Linda?
Yeah, I really have to think about last weekend. I was doing all kind of chores, working in my garden, washing my car, etc. And then a daughter of one of my neighbors, she showed up. She's 4 years old, and she was really at some time I asked her, okay, come and sit with me, come drink and have a drink. And she was in awe about my garden, but I just trimmed down everything. So I was thinking, well, there's nothing to be in awe of. But she was, oh, it's so beautiful. And she cycled to her house to get her sunglasses. And she was really, as a 4-year-old, she was chilling in my backyard, just, oh, it's so beautiful. And look at the water. And she was really, and I don't know her design, but I was really seeing her spirit, because children, they are so full of spirit, even if they have this in their design or not. But it was, I was in awe of her, how she looked at the world. And it's my backyard. And I also felt this influence myself, because I also, and that's when every time we are talking about gardening and springtime, but that everything, because we had a lot of cold and freezing a week long. So I was in awe that everything was still alive, even after really cold temperatures, and that you could see the first signs of that some plants are already blooming and flourishing a little bit, and you can see new things. And then I think, well, that nature is so flexible and so powerful, and that's really, and also I have the 39, and Natalie also, so we all are connected to you, Karen.
Yeah.
And that it's yeah, it's really a sense of, for me, the wonder that things just are so having their own flow and their own rhythm, and just don't care about COVID or other things going on, but just doing what they're supposed to do. And that's just be a beautiful plant or rose or flower. So
I love that. I love that. And how beautiful and also how profound that is, to just, again, that wonder, of what is there, the abundance of spirit. You see, just like with, Anna's experience, you see a dying rose, or you see, a garden, that's just been, that's just been taken care of, but the plants haven't grown yet. And seeing the beauty and the wonder in really what is in that moment is really, really beautiful. And how about for you, Natalie? Right, you also have the 39. So the 39's on the other side, which creates the strength of provocation and provoking. So provoking the spirit. So Anna and Linda and Natalie are all about provoking the spirit, all about provoking the 55.
Yeah, and it's a nice provoking type, so let me be clear about that, because it sounds maybe at times annoying, but provoking the spirit in the way that I feel it, it's really to tease out, like, hey, come on, and I don't know. I don't provoke to then get back, oh, you stupid, whatever. No, I provoke to get people to shake them up a little bit, and they go like, oh, there's something like life, and and get that wonder. Well, I had a lot of ahs and whoa and spirit this weekend, and just before class, we had a class before this session. I heard some birds, a lot of birds in my backyard, and I was like, "What's this?" So I opened the door, and it was like now I think 1,000 birds in just in a tree, and you could see the branches go like this, and it was just packed. And then all of a sudden, vroom, they all took off. It's and I was literally in awe. I made a video and I just shared it with Karen and Linda and Anna. I was like, whoa! I really went like that. So just and it truly is just and the garden as well. I have a garden. It's just the awe of it, and you feel lit up by it. And it is not, and that's why I'm really curious about the quality of today. It's not material. It's just life and living, etc. And also I had a barbecue this weekend, and just having the joy of being with others, and having fun and music, and I'm still like on this high from that, right? But that is so intangible. Abundance, right? It's not material abundance, and I think I'm convinced life is not about material abundance, but having enough material stuff to be able to live and eat and whatever, but the abundance itself is in spirit, right? You don't buy it with money, and that's so. And the emotional emptiness, not to know what to be passionate about. This is really something. I mean, on the other side of it, in the 39, you also have that same kind of fear, right? Because it's connected. And it can be really, if you have this in your design, and you are, how do you say that? You get attached to wanting to find it. I don't know if attached is the good word, but you get stuck in it. Then it will not happen, and the fear and the melancholy will even prolong, right? You make it worse, so to say. You make it but actually having this feeling of this emotional emptiness and sitting with it, as Karen also shared, brings you in this most creative part where probably some passion will come out, but you're not looking for it. So one comparison I often make in my classes is about the most beautiful music, the most beautiful lyrics, or even composed music come from this state of melancholy, right? This state of, and that's where the creativity can, really where you can really find it. Or even if you're not like what we understand as creative part of world, but even just being with yourself, and meditating, or just being with yourself, right, can bring you to another state of yourself. And in that, you may recognize what is actually of value, what brings you actual abundance, what is actual spirit, instead of just chasing, like we're all thrown back right now in the world on ourselves, with the COVID and everything that's there, and the non-ability to travel, or a little bit, or some can go out, but just during the day and whatever. So you're thrown back at yourself, but you also find what truly is spirit and abundance, right? So so in that melancholy of, I cannot do what I used to do, right? That's a little bit, sounds more like frustration and anger, but anyway, if you go back, then you truly value what is the wonder of life, And so it brings you on the other end of it, it brings you the abundance of spirit.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Also, 55 is about the awareness. 39 is about provoking the awareness of spirit. Spirit is always around, but 55 is that sense of delight or joy or wonder, all these words that we've been using. And like we've already said, they can be in the smallest little places, smallest little experiences. But if you don't recognize it, if you don't have the awareness that it's around, the low part of the wave, a lot of people relate to as depression or grief. And in our whole cycle of this last year, there's been a lot of grief for real losses, you know, of family members or business enterprises or the ability to connect with people. There's been a lot of losses, downtime, like Natalie was saying, being in your place alone. There's all versions of that low melancholic place, but that sense of emptiness is sort of a place where you can't distract you when you really set into it. When you do meditate or rest or just stop and have a cup of tea and look around by yourself, you start to notice things that are alive. Even if you feel down, there's still life. And it's really important because especially in Western culture, I think globally actually, but our processes of dealing with grief and appreciating depression. I mean, there's all kinds of depression, chemical, moods, addictions, all of this stuff, but it's all layers of this low part of the wave. And when you have an appreciation for the low part of the wave, it naturally lifts you up. If you've ever been at the beach, you know, near the ocean, the waves go out, the waves come in. There's this rhythm, there's this literal wave. And especially at low tide, I spent years at the beach, and low tide was a spectacularly eerie time because all these things are unveiled, things you didn't know were, you know, in the sand. And it literally would feel like things, you know, gravity was pulling things out of me. And that's kind of what the low part of the wave can be. And it can be a wonderful experience if we kind of graduate into those places that are sort of taboo or uncomfortable, or we don't know what to do with them, rather than distracting in, you know, our minor addictions or major addictions. It's the process of trying to get you aware of spirit. And of course, you know, finding delight, finding wonder, the little 4-year-old watching cat videos, you know, all of that stuff kind of sparks us back up. And we need both sides.
Exactly. So beautifully said, Anna. And, you know, knowing just my experience having this 55 and, you know, this weekend, speaking at my friend's memorial, you know, you were talking about grief, and, you know, she passed away in November. I thought I had processed it. And, you know, kind of going through the grief and going through, I was actually surprised at how deep I felt the emotions, and I then allowing myself to go there. I think before processing it, I was just sort of processing it on the surface, but this memorial service really allowed me to be able to feel the depth of it, and allowing myself to go there and to really fully grieve. talking about BG5 and human design, she was when I first got introduced to human design, she was the one that I used to study with, and that we would share things with. And so she was really instrumental in the first part of my journey with human design as well. And I hadn't really fully recognized that until I was writing up my talk. And what was really fascinating when I wrote up the talk, we had done a webinar together, and I pulled in some things that she shared on the webinar. And I also I looked at her design and all of the things that people were sharing about her life, and looking at her design and seeing how fully she really lived out what her design was. And one of the things that we say is when you live well, you also die well. And although tragic that we lost her and had to say goodbye, I really felt in that honoring of her that she really did have a life well lived and really fulfilled on what her life work and life purpose was all about. Just looking at her design and listening to what everyone was sharing about her. So it just gave me this really deep, profound feeling of, for all of us, eventually it comes to an end. And to really fully live, that's the downside of it, right? That grief, that feeling of loss. And on the other side, what I also saw was, we never know when our number comes up. And so to really live and experience and really hold precious every moment that we do have. And, so again, that balance, like Anna was saying, sort of the dark and the depth. And on the other side, it's like, I want to have, people say that about me. I want to have lived my life to the absolute fullest. So that when I die, I'm truly at rest because I've lived it all, and that's what spirit is, again, experiencing the highs, experiencing the lows, experiencing everything in between, and being able to, this is, connected to emotional intelligence. So it's really feeling it, whether feeling the downs or feeling the ups, feeling the joy, but also feeling that deep sorrow and allowing yourself to feel that deep sorrow as well. So really incredible.
I want to mention one more thing. I'm emotionally defined, and when you're around somebody that's not emotionally defined, which means they can absorb things and amplify the moods around them. It's easy especially for an undefined emotional awareness, to take emotions on. And so sometimes that, passion for life, or the depression in life, or all those little states in between, can feel like you're just sort of not yourself. And yet they're true emotions if you settle into them, if you allow them to kind of just pass on, mood by mood by mood, keep moving on. I used to tell clients, if some moods last more than 2 days, a particularly high or low, then you need to let it roll forward. Do something else that lets the mood carry forward. And for emotionally defined people, they can usually roll through that cycle. Maybe they get extreme or not, whatever, but they can usually express their emotions. And the undefined people will sometimes, the mood gets to them more. And so, breathing through it, doing something to be creative in some way to express it, is really important for someone that does not have the defined emotions.
Yep. Exactly. Thank you for adding that, Anna. Exactly. And it's really interesting with this trait 55, because this trait 55 is part of the new frequency that we're moving into in the era of the individual. Again, we're moving out of the era of planning into the era of the individual. And 55 is part of the background frequency that we're really stepping into. And where that shows up is it is in the way that we work. So in the era of planning, the era that has been for 400 some odd years, it's been about the mother, father, the bargain in the 37, and it's currently in the 37-1. This is harmony is the key to successful maintenance of relationships. So this is more, again, of the mother and father. This is do what mom and dad say. So this is really about trusting outer authority. So in the era of planning, the frequency was about, trust us, we will take care of you. What we are moving towards in the era of the individual is this spiritual selfishness. So this is the 55-6. This is the trait that we're currently in today. So this is the possibility of finding the spirit through materialism. So this is really about following what your spirit says. One of the things that we talk a lot about in BG5 is trusting your inner authority. So instead of, trusting outer authorities, trusting the mom and dad, it's really what is true for us. So it's trusting your inner authority, trusting your spirit. And again, an interesting thing to take a look at, the possibility of finding spirit through materialism, this spiritual selfishness. I want to talk a little bit more about that and what that is. When we take a look at quality 6 is about the leader. So if we take a look at the elevation, this is the possibility of finding spirit through materialism. The acquisition obsession that though alienated, let me say that again. So acquisition obsession that though alienating is still indirectly beneficially materially to others. Meaning, in a sense, the more that we are ourselves and taking care of ourselves physically, right, in the material world, at times it can be alienating because it may feel like it's selfish, but in a sense, the more selfish or the more self-like we are, the more that we can, in a sense, contribute to the bigger whole. This is I find this also in my public role with the 1-3, where it's both very, very personal. And so even in putting together this material, whether it be for BG5 Live or whether it be for the BG5 Business Institute, I do it in a kind of in a selfish way, so to speak, so that I can understand it better. And in me being able to put it together so that I can understand it better, then I can also then deliver it to others so that others can understand it better. So even though it may be quote unquote selfish, right? That selfish needing to know and putting it together for myself directly benefits materially, others as well, right? So that's a way that you can look at it. So it's kind of this, I have this me and we can see kind of the dice. So it's kind of making sure that you're, in a sense, taking care of yourself, following your own decision-making strategy. And it's almost like this inside out. When you are operating correctly, you have an effect on those around you, right? Whether it be directly or indirectly, where you empower others to also take care of themselves, right? This isn't in the individual circuitry. This is about empowerment. So, you directly or indirectly, you end up benefiting others. You end up benefiting the we as well. Now, again, it does have a challenge, right? The challenge is the possibility that materialism becomes obsessive with a mean spirit that will not share. When material abundance exists, but no one gets to share its light. So in a sense, it's holding on to things, sort of with the mean spirit of like, it's all for me in a very selfish way. So it can show up that way as well, versus in a sense, doing what is correct for you And the reason that it may be alienating is because everybody wants you to follow what mom and dad says. You should do this, you should do that, because that's what the authorities say. So it can be, alienating because you're standing by yourself and you're like, you know what, that doesn't work for me. I understand it's great for you. It's just not correct for me. And so it's sort of breaking that pattern that we've been in trusting outer authorities to really trusting ourselves. So Natalie, you were talking about this, this interesting dynamic of spirit through materialism. I would love to hear what you see or what you hear in all of this.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I missed. I was kind of, yeah. Let first somebody else, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to start, Linda?
Yes. Well, a couple of things come to mind. First, with selfishness, I had to think about a metaphor about when a plane is in trouble. You first have to put on your own oxygen mask, and then you put it on your child or on your child to help save him or her. And that feels maybe a little bit awkward because you want to save the child, but if you don't take care of yourself, you are both gonna die in the worst case scenario. But I really feel like, and also for myself in working with clients, it's really important, and I think in all kind of jobs, that you really feel yourself being grounded as a coach, that you are rested, that you are authentically yourself, and that you also, and that's what I really feel here, when you follow your passion, your spirit. And for me, it's BG5, and it comes from an authentic place. Then also materialism comes. It's just because you help others also finding their purpose. And then with my 39 of provoking, I really provoke the spirit with others to really, and I have my life work is upheaval, so I'm not literally, but almost shaking them to really see their potential and to feel their spirit, because everyone has their gifts and their talents, and we are here to serve others. So with that, we can really benefit from each other because they pay me so I can educate myself more, because I love to learn. And I will teach them how to use their gifts and talents within the corporate world so they can gain more materialism. So I really feel when it comes from an authentic place, and I really think that is what's the new era is all about. It's about finding the spirit and also taking a look at yourself first. What is it what I want? And what is it what I love to do? And then using your gifts to serve others. And in the challenge, and that's what you already also a little bit seeing show up in this era, is that it's that you say that you are passionate about something, but you are really passionate about making money. And that you are using things that you say, okay, well, I'm going to coach you for not for 5 sessions, but you need at least 20 sessions, because you really need it, and you really need me, and blah blah blah. But that's not from a authentic place. Then you are doing something to become more materialistic, abundant yourself. So I really love that this is in the new era, because spirit is really what this time is inviting us to. We are thrown back, and we really have to take a look. And what I also notice with some clients, there are clients that are really feeling hopeless, and they say, well, I don't know what to be passionate about and what it's going to bring. It's uncertain and what I can do with my talents. But I also have clients that in the lows come up with so much creativity and so much also that they really feel their passion, that they say, okay, well, I wasn't that aware that my work was my passion until it stopped. So I really feel that what's going on now is inviting us to take a look at our spirit.
Yeah.
What's in there?
Yeah, beautifully said, Linda. Thank you so much. Are you ready, Natalie?
Yes, I am. I'm still. It's kind of the chicken and the egg, right? Like spirit through materialism or materialism through spirit. And in what we describe is more of materialism through spirit. Like when you follow your passion, you get material abundance. Let me just put it like that. But then in how you described it, Karen, is more of the spirit through materialism, right? Like finding it for yourself, and then it indirectly shares as well. So it's but and the example of the airplane, right, with the oxygen mask, that is exactly what it is. But yeah, so it's I think the new way of where we are going, because it's also in work. I love it that the spirit comes into the work, right? And you're not doing it for the money, but you will earn maybe even more because you're doing it out of passion. And I mean, looking at myself, I really followed my passion in this. And I came from a place where I was unemployed. I didn't have any money, and I didn't start off teaching, right? Right off the bat, I was a nobody, having a client every now and then, and not really not making a lot of money. And now I can truly, live from it. I have a friend who is a dear friend, and then every now and then she checks in. How are you doing? We have dinner or whatever. She was the last time she was here, and we hadn't seen each other for like, I don't know, almost a year, I think. And she was like, I find it so fascinating how it truly brought you, how you can live from it, and how you are enjoying it, and how you are, right? You really, and you knew that you wanted to do this. But in the beginning, it was not something that made money. Like if I would have followed my mind or the suggestions of people around me, I wouldn't be where I am today here now doing what I love to do, right? Because it also took me a little bit of just really knowing that I like this, and we'll see what comes out of it. So the materialism, and then now being shocked actually at how much comes out of it. I'm like, I have been like with little money for a while, so that I can just go on holiday. Like, okay, there's money in the bank, and still I can do this, or I can still buy clothes as well. Oh wow! And just being able, but really from a place of spirit, from a place of authenticity. So I can't wait for for the whole world to shift their view on this.
Yeah.
And then we will roll into this. So the waves will roll, right? There is this down, but if you are following yourself and your decision making strategy, then
Yeah.
So it is an interesting thing. I really truly think it sounds like polarized, but they are actually together. And if it is a polarization, that is the old way. It is a polarization in the old way. Then when you have materialism, it's more in the challenge. It's the mean spirit, and you're not happy.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's a really good point, Natalie. It has been, we've always thought of spirit and materialism as being something very separate, right?
Yeah.
You're either in it for the money or you don't care about the money and it's all about the spirit, right?
Yeah, and then
Or
you don't
the
make
spirit,
money.
or the spirit is something that you'll get in touch with once you die, right? But here you're, the spirit's always someplace else.
Yeah.
And it's, in a sense, bringing, a kind of heaven to earth, if you will. It's bringing that spirit to our material, physical being as well. Spirit through materialism, we can also look at embodying the spirit. And embodying the spirit through also making our decisions correctly. It's allowing, in a sense, our body, our material body, to make those decisions that are correct for our spirit to experience what our spirit is here to experience, and then to share our brilliance then with others as well.
Yeah, and we Ubuntu, it came up, I believe, also here or in a class, I don't remember, but people are people through other people. I have a painting or a thing on the wall where it's in Dutch as well. So you are only living while or because you live with others. I'm not sure how to put it, but yeah.
Yeah.
And that's in the same abundance part of spirit and where, anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, before it's been, do what I say, and it's kind of sacrificing yourself or giving yourself up for the good of the tribe, right? That's the era of planning. Here, it is tapping into who you are, and in fully being who you are in the material, right? You can then contribute in a whole other way and connect in a whole other way, that we haven't been able to connect in the past. In many respects, it's connecting through spirit as well. It's finding those that we spiritually connect with, those that we, feel like our soul tribe, right, that are on our fractal, whether it be the clients that we work with or the friends that we hang out with, or things that we do together, businesses, moving forward, instead of just going to work for a paycheck, right? Millennials won't put up with that. It's like they do that and then they quit right away, right? It really is doing something that that is romantic, that feeds your spirit, doing something in the material world that feeds your spirit, right? And in a sense, then your spirit feeds you as well as feeds others as well. Yeah.
Wonder who we have as celebrity. I'm curious.
So interesting enough. We have a couple, actually. Steve Jobs as well as Phil Knight. Both of them are entrepreneurs. So their life work theme is spirit. You seek and find both spirit and great pleasure in life through creativity, good food, and sexual companionship. So it's interesting to find, two entrepreneurs that we're probably all familiar with as well. Steve Jobs, who led the personal computer revolution by co-founding Apple with Steve Wozniak, and Phil Knight, who is a multi-billionaire who co-founded the famous shoe company Nike as well. So again, in a sense, this, doing what they love, loving what they do, bringing forth something that, in a sense, both of those brands are iconic, in the world. So, and of course, both of them are, multi-million or billionaires, right? So they can, find spirit and great pleasure through life, through creativity, good food, and sexual companionship as well. So quite fascinating to have, two really prominent entrepreneurs that have this as their life work theme.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Phil Knight in his being, but when you also see the presentations that Steve Jobs did, like, it is passion that is there, and that's why we are in line to get the new and the whole way of the marketing is conveying this passion for the product and for whatever the product can enable you to do, right? And with that also, helping other, right? We benefit from it, as it's like how you feel about an Apple product.
Right.
Like,
Or just do it with Nike.
yeah. I'm not so familiar with the thing of Nike. So yeah, exactly.
But that's their tagline, is just do it.
Yeah.
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 And it's fascinating that it's in line in quality 6. So they are role models, they are leaders, they are, and this individual, they are setting an example. So they are really inspiring also for other entrepreneurs or for young people to also become,
Live their dream,
to live their dreams. So I also feel that. And I also don't know Phil Knight that well, but from Steve Jobs, I really feel that from his passion, he just created things, and really also in materialistic way, because it has a form. It is, it's you can, and also with Nike with the shoes, but also the whole what Natalie pointed out, the whole thing around it. It's also emotional, because you have an emotional feel with Nike, because you are pro Nike, or you have Puma or whatever other kind of brand. So there's and also Apple, or you have Android. But there are really people that are drawn to Apple and the innovation and the style, etc. And it's fascinating to see it play out in this way for these two entrepreneurs.
Yeah, absolutely.
When we're talking about the challenges and elevations, in that description, they're talking about light. And we often talk about entrepreneurs like these as brilliant, or a musician is a brilliant musician or writer or dancer, or scientist or whatever. We'll use the word brilliant. We bring the light in. When somebody loves their work, their spirit is alive and well, and they become brilliant lights for other people as well as having it internally.
Yeah. Great. Amazing. Well, very cool. Well, I hope you've had the opportunity to tap into spirit this last week. Again, if you want to find out more about your own design, you can go to the bg5businessinstitute.com and you can download your personalized chart so you can follow along. We all have everything. It's just whether it's defined or whether it's undefined, to really see what your design is all about. We also have free reports as well. You can also follow along with the BG5 Live. You can listen to our past episodes in our free resource library, and also check out our courses. We're going to have new courses coming up in May, so invite you to start checking it out and seeing which courses are correct for you. So I'd love to wrap everything up by just having each one of our panel, and if there's any comments that you want to read as well as we go through here, any last things to just pay attention to or be aware of? I know we're going to be moving into family and friends in the 37 as we move forward, but just any last ponderings, if you will, in taking a look at spirit.
Yeah, so also the 37 is also in the emotional intelligence. And what I really would like you to take away from today, and from how you may have felt the past week and the coming week, the emotional wave is something mechanical, and you cannot make it away or try to not have the downsides of it, right? So I hope you are conveyed with this discussion of today that in the downtime is also beauty, and it's there for a reason, and it's not something that needs to go away, because if you fight it stays longer. And just roll with it, as Anna say, and move with it, get it emotional, whatever you do with it, or look at the kitty little videos or whatever, right? But know that it is just there. It will not stay. So it will also, the wave will go up again, and enjoy what comes in that moment.
Yep.
So,
Exactly.
and there we have another.
That's my there's my puppy dog.
Oh, the whole family wants to get on.
Yes. Oh, okay. Hold on. Go ahead, Linda. I'll let her out.
Well, they want to show their real spirit. Moxie wants to show it, and the puppy dog wants to show it. Yeah. Shall I wait for Karen or?
Just go on.
Yeah.
So what do you want?
Yeah. Well, I think you shared it beautifully, and I only want to add, be aware, because it's emotional, and this emotional frequency is also giving you a lot of information, and also about spirit, and the couple of weeks about expectations, etc. But I feel that particularly also this time that we are living in is really inviting us to find our spirit, and also to find our pleasure in serving others. And what is it? And yeah, feel the creativity, feel what's going on, what these times are doing to you, and be aware and get the most out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautifully said, Linda.
So that's it for today.
Perfect. And did you speak, Anna, when I stepped away, or I guess I didn't step away that long?
Just a quick piece of reminder that in the darkest moments, there's still light. If you go outside at night, which I love to do, if your mood, we're talking about moods and spirit, if your mood is really black or dark, just go outside or look out your window if that's what you can do. Do what you can do. There's always light in the dark, and there's always dark in the light. If you're out in the bright sun, you can see shade from the leaves of a tree, or the shadow of a building or something. There's always both. So remember, especially in the darker moods, people don't tend to be as comfortable. But there's great comfort in knowing there's light in the dark, there's dark in the light.
So beautifully said. And just like we were talking about spirit and materialism, right? It seems like two opposite ends of the spectrum, just like light and dark. And it's kind of accepting, just like Anna said, the materialism in spirit and the spirit in materialism, the light and the darkness, and the dark and the lightness. It's the yin and the yang. If you take a look at the yin and the yang symbol, that's exactly what it is. And so just allow yourself to be on the wave, to feel. We're still going to continue on with the emotions, right? We're going to be moving into the tribal emotions next week of family and friends and that connection. And so just continue to watch your emotions. Again, if you are emotionally undefined, as Anna was saying earlier, be aware of the emotions of others, and what are your emotions, and what are the emotions of others, and where are you taking things in that aren't yours? If you are emotionally defined, what is your emotional wave, and allowing your emotional wave to flow however it needs to flow. Be down when you need to be down, be up, when you're up. But again, the wave is always moving. I love what you shared about being on the beach, Anna, with the waves coming in and out. They never stop. And so, you may be down at the moment, but it's not going to last forever, right? Same thing with being up. It's not going to last forever. So it's appreciating and really honoring each and every moment. And with that, we will wrap up for today. It's been our absolute pleasure. Thank you. And we look forward to seeing you all next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.